After almost 3 years since we've been given a new Pokemon game, Pokemon Legends ZA is finally here. And with it comes two versions, the Switch Edition and the Switch 2 Edition. For those who buy the Switch Edition, you'll be able to enjoy the game on either the original Switch or the Switch 2 and get the same experience and performance on either console. For those who buy the Switch 2 Edition, you'll be able to enjoy on the Switch 2 an improved game performance with a smoother 60 frame per second frame rate and better resolution, up to 4K when in docked mode. Now, if you only bought the Switch Edition but own a Switch 2, you can at any time purchase the Switch 2 upgrade pack from the eShop to be able to get that better performance, with the total cost of the Switch Edition and the upgrade pack totaling the same amount as the Switch 2 Edition. And if you bought specifically the Switch 2 Edition, you can still insert the game card into the original Switch and play the game. You just won't be able to get that improved performance due to the near 9-year-old hardware. Myself, I bought both physical editions, mostly for collector's reasons. But just how much of a difference is there between the two versions? Let's find out. Now, just like I did in my previous comparison video on this channel where I tested every Switch Pokemon game on the Switch and Switch 2, this video will compare specifically the physical versions of Pokemon Legends ZA across both consoles. Note, the digital versions may be even faster than what I show off here due to console internal storage being faster than that of game cards, so I'd like to hear what your experience is if you're a digital buyer. Now, for this video, I'll be testing the Switch Edition of PLZA in my 2017 midnight launch original Nintendo Switch, and the Switch 2 Edition of PLZA in my 2025 midnight launch Nintendo Switch 2. The footage you're about to see from the Nintendo Switch is captured at 1080p in OBS Studio using an Elgato HD 60S Plus capture card, while the Nintendo Switch 2 footage is captured at 4K using an Elgato 4KX capture card. The recording frame rate in OBS for both consoles is set at 60 frames per second to match the 60 frames per second this video is being edited in, but obviously the difference in frame rate performance will only be noticeable in the Switch 2 footage. Also, in terms of spoilers, this video will only show early game content, so you'll only see minor story spoilers from the first hour or so of gameplay. Now, with that, I'm going to take a back seat and let you watch some of the opening cutscenes and the first time you can control your character. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the comparisons yourself, and I'll see you in a little bit. Now that was some of the early game, but I do want to test what I've done before and test the load times when starting the game from the home menu on both consoles. As you can see here on the Switch 2, it takes pretty much bang on 7 seconds to get to the title screen from the moment you select the profile you want to play on, while the original Switch takes just under 11 seconds. And while spamming A this whole time, the Switch 2 completely loads into the game at 14.57 seconds, while the original Switch takes 22.78 seconds, a difference of 493 frames or 8.21 seconds. Next, here is a comparison between a bunch of textures between both consoles at the start of the second day in-game. And finally, I just want to test out the first wild zone you see here, just to see if there's any difference in performance while on the Switch 1 or Switch 2. As you can see, as we approach the wild zone here, on the Switch 1, the draw distance is not as good, so you see a lot of more things peaking and popping into existence than compared to the Switch 2. This smaller draw distance also extends to when you're actively catching Pokemon in a wild zone. So like on Scarlet and Violet, you're more likely to see a shiny Pokemon, for example, on the game with a performance upgrade. And that's it in terms of performance at the start of the game. If I'm being honest, the difference in performance isn't too much if you compare the performance of Scarlet and Violet on the original Switch versus the Switch 2. Admittedly, I'm unclear what the games are like with a finished save and completed Pokédex, but I imagine the difference would almost be impossible to notice. But saying that, let's not pretend sacrifices weren't made between the beta version that was leaked of this game and the final build of PLZA to allow the original Switch to run the game properly, or at least to the best of its ability in the first place. So what do you think? Are the differences in performance noticeable to you? Is buying the Switch 2 edition worth it in the long run? Or are you happy with the cheaper Switch edition, which still gives you the same game? Let me know in the comments below. I have more PLZA videos coming as more mechanics about the game are revealed, so if you enjoy this video and want to see more, then hit like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment on what starter Pokemon is best. Cheers, legends. My name's highly Instagram, but you can call me Matt, and as always, may all your shiny hunts be quick. Take care.